Hey guys, thanks for checking us out here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you're a regular listener, we're glad to have you back. If you're a new listener, we're glad to have you here. So, our podcast is for people that want to learn something new or make themselves a little bit better every day. So, in today's podcast, we're going to talk about why action leads to motivation and not vice versa. So, a couple of phrases I'll throw out here. I don't feel motivated. I'll start when I feel better, when it's more convenient, when I'm less busy. Any of these sound familiar to you? I know they do to me because I have personally said those things to myself either out loud or in my head thousands of times in my life. So we want to feel motivated, so we'll act on the things in our life. Losing weight, reading more, developing a budget, looking for a new job. The list of items that we want to tackle in our life is endless. And we want to feel motivated to tackle those things, thinking that the motivation will carry us through till we develop the habit that we're trying to develop. But ask yourself this question: how often do you actually feel motivated versus how often you don't feel motivated? I would argue that if you're a normal person, a normal human being, and I would say that this applies to everybody. It doesn't matter how successful someone is or if someone's struggling or whatever the case may be. It's way more common for someone to feel anxious, unmotivated, not have the desire to push through or to tackle challenges than it is to feel good, to want to attack whatever it is that you've got on your plate or whatever the goals you've set for yourself. So, as you know, I used to play baseball. I talk about it on the channel. Played baseball in college. I had a chance to play professionally. And I can tell you that the way I was a pitcher, so a starting pitcher on a professional team gets somewhere around 30 starts a year, call it. If you're in the rotation, you're going to start every fifth day, play 162 games. The math works out somewhere around 30 starts a year. And in 7 of those starts, you're going to have your good stuff. You're going to be able to throw the ball where you want. You're going to feel good. You're going to hit all your spots. It's going to go well for you. And then there's 7 days that you're just not going to have your stuff. It doesn't matter what you do. You can't make the adjustment. You can't hit your spots. You can't locate your pitches. Things just don't go well for you. So if you've got 30 starts, we just talked about 14 of them. There's 16 starts where you're going to be in between, somewhere on the spectrum in between those two situations. And it's the people that learn to grind through those starts and find a way to put their teams in positions to win games that were successful in the sport of baseball. So the same exact situation is applicable in real life. So you're not going to feel motivated all the time. In fact, it's probably the deck is stacked against you that you're going to not feel motivated more than you're going to feel motivated. So you have to ask yourself, why are you continuing to take the same approach? Why are you waiting for motivation to kick in to start tackling the things that you want to tackle? We need to change our mindset and change our approach so that we force ourselves to take action. And I use the word force on purpose because it's not always going to be fun. Once you develop a habit and a routine, things will smooth out. But you've got to force it at the beginning. We did a podcast episode called Getting Over the Reef, and that references the movie Castaway, where Tom Hanks is shipwrecked, plane wrecked on an island for 4 years, and he's trying to get off the island because nobody's come to save him. And his big challenge to get off the island is this reef that goes around the island, and it stops him from getting off of the island. And once he gets over the reef and he's out in the open ocean, he can start making progress towards shipping lanes where planes are flying. Someone can find him out there. But getting over the reef is the hardest part. And eventually a piece of an old outhouse washes up. He uses it as a sail. The sail carries him over the reef. He's out in the open ocean, right? So, but it's a fight. It's a scrap. It's a battle to get out in the open ocean. And that's the mentality that you have to have, is that you're going to fight your way through the tough stuff at the beginning to get out into the open ocean when your habits and your routines kick in, and it just becomes maintenance at that point. So That's what we're talking about in today's episode. How do you do that? It sounds good, right? It's great. Awesome for me to sit here and talk about these things. And I'm not perfect at them. I'm better at them than a lot of people. I'm not as good at them as a lot of people. But I know they're right. I know that's what we need to do if we want to develop good habits and build the life that we want to build for ourselves. So it starts with not being a victim, right? No victim mentality. We don't do victim mentality at Salty Ginger Talk. You're not a victim. You have control over a lot of things in your life. You're just refusing to take control over them. So let's put that as point one. Take control of the things you have control over. Don't worry about the things you can't control. And you're going to be a lot more successful just from doing that one thing. But the trick here is to just take small steps. Keep taking small steps over and over and over and over again. I think most of us know who Warren Buffett is, right? He's a great investor who's accumulated a billions and billions of dollar fortune. His quote, one of his quotes that I love, and I'm not a huge Warren Buffett fan, but clearly he's a very bright guy and he's figured out investing. But he said, I don't look for a 6-foot bar to jump over. I look for 6 1-foot bars to step over. And I think that's the right mentality when you're talking about how to improve your life and how to improve your world. Take small steps every single day. Just do it very consistently, and that gets you where you want to be. So why does that work? What is it in your body that happens? Why does that get you to where you want to be eventually if you keep doing it? So taking small steps towards a goal can trigger a positive feedback loop in your brain. That positive feedback loop can generate feelings of accomplishment and progress, and that in turn fuels further motivation to continue taking action. So essentially, starting to do something can create the momentum that you need to keep going and feel motivated to reach your goal. So this is physics 101, right? A body at rest tends to stay at rest. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. So how does the body at rest actually get into motion? How does the motion start? It's acted on by an outside force. That outside force in your world is you. So it's you forcing yourself to take action on whatever it is that you want to take action on. So how does that feedback loop work? What happens inside your body? So the first thing is the dopamine release. So when you take action, your brain releases a neurotransmitter called dopamine. And that neurotransmitter is associated with pleasure and reward. It reinforces the behavior and makes you want to continue. Now you got to be careful here because that dopamine can be released by stuff that might not be so good for you. Junk food, sugary foods, comfort foods release dopamine. Sometimes sitting and watching TV can release dopamine. Scrolling through social media can release dopamine. And those aren't necessarily activities that you want to make the center of your life. Nothing wrong with them in moderation, but moderation is the key word there. Moderation is a relative term. So I don't think you're getting a lot of value. Let's say that you want to build a fortune or you want to get in better physical shape or you want to develop the relationships in your life. Social media is not a good platform to do that on, just as an example. So you got to be careful what triggers the dopamine release. Now, if you have those activities in your life, you can't just stop doing them because your body will stop the dopamine release. What you need to do is replace an activity that causes your brain to release dopamine, an activity that's not so good for you or that you're not interested in continuing. Replace it with one that also releases dopamine, but is one that you're interested in continuing or making a habit. Once you do that, you get a sense of progress. Seeing tangible progress, even if it's small, can create a positive mindset and motivate you to keep going forward, keep moving forward. That allows you to build momentum. Once you start taking action, it becomes easier to keep going as you gain momentum. And that builds confidence in your ability to achieve your goal. So it's kind of layering one little success on top of another little success on top of another little success. And that's going to keep moving you forward towards your goal. And the last thing to talk about here, and we've talked about it a little bit, overcoming that initial inertia. Often the hardest part is simply getting started. Once you take the first step, the barrier to further action is lowered. Might be by a little bit, but it's a little bit easier tomorrow than it is today if you just do something today. And then you got to do something again tomorrow. So remember, you are the external force that's going to get the body that's at rest to start in motion. So think about it this way. We think that the sequence of events that's going to make us successful is motivation equals action equals more motivation. We're actually out of order there. What the sequence actually looks like is action equals motivation, which equals more motivation. But it's the consistency around those actions that gets you where you want to be. So let's look at some example of what this looks like in the real world. Let's say that you want to start exercising, okay? Simply putting on your running shoes and heading outside for a short walk can be enough to trigger the motivation to continue your workout for a longer period. Let's say on day one, you put your running shoes on and you walk around your block. Let's say on day two, you walk around your block twice. Let's say on day three, you walk around 2 blocks. You're making consistent progress, consistent action, and it's easier every day to tell yourself, hey, I got a 3-day streak going here. I got a 1-day streak going here, right? You really want a series of 1-day streaks. In August, I said, I am going to walk 10,000 miles a day no matter what. I don't care what happens. I'm going to walk 10,000 miles a day. And I sit here in early November and I have a close to 3-month streak going of 10,000 miles every single day. I'm not walking as fast as I can. I'm not running. I used to be a really good runner. I'd probably like to get back there someday, but I'm building my base and I'm building my activity and I'm creating the habit so that I have that base to build on if I decide I want to start running again. So just that little act, put your shoes on and go for a walk one day. Walk around your block. Walk to the end of your driveway. Maybe day one you walk to the end of your driveway. Day two you walk around the block. Whatever it is, make a little more progress every single day. Don't make giant leaps. Don't try to make giant leaps. That's not the goal. If you just take consistent action so that you can do it every single day, you'll be amazed where you could be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. But it's that action that is going to lead you to be motivated, that's going to lead to more motivation, that's going to lead you to stick to your program. Another example, you're trying to stop procrastinating on your work. Take your hardest project and do one thing right now, like immediately, that will advance your project forward. Even if it's organizing the files, even if it's putting together the outline on how you're going to attack the project, even if it's taking notes on how you're going to attack the project, doesn't matter. Do something right now to give yourself some momentum on that project. And then tomorrow, build on that. Do a little bit more than you did today. You don't need to make huge leaps. You need to make small steps consistently. That's what we're looking for. Another example, when you, let's say you wake up at 7 a.m. and you want to start waking up at 5 a.m. You've read about all these successful people that have great morning routines and you want that time in the morning. That's great. But going from waking up at 7 a.m. to cold turkey waking up at 5 a.m. every single day is very unrealistic. So don't try to do that. Maybe this week you set your alarm for 6:45. You bump it back 15 minutes. And you get up at 6:45 every day this week. Don't hit the snooze button. Don't go back to sleep. Don't make excuses. Get up, brush your teeth. I would argue get outside. It's one of the best things you can do to wake up is immediately, as fast as you can, get outside. Let the sunlight hit your skin. Let the fresh air hit your lungs. Let the wind hit your face. Get outside, and that will wake you up. And then you do that for a week, and then the next week you ratchet it down to 6:30. Now you've gone from 7 to 6:45 for a week. Now it's 6:30 for a week. The following week you go to 6:15, and you keep ratcheting that time down until you get to your 5 a.m. goal. But it's that consistent action. It's those small steps. It's building those habits that's going to get you where you want to be. It's not waiting until you feel motivated. It's action that leads to motivation, not the other way around. So whatever it is, pick one thing. Don't try to boil the ocean all at once. We're not launching a satellite here. We're making our lives better. The way to do that is to pick one thing, focus on that, get that into your habits, get that into your routine so that you become unconsciously competent. You just do it. It's what you do. Think about that, right? You brush your teeth every day. You take a shower every day. You do whatever it is you do every day that you never used to do. You have all sorts of habits in your life that you've developed over time, You can develop other habits as well. You may have to focus on it to make it a habit, and that's fine. Pick what you want to focus on and make sure it aligns with your long term goals. Maybe you want better relationships. Maybe you want to advance your professional career. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to get a higher level of physical fitness. Whatever it is, you get to pick it. But the point is, you have control over it. You're just not exercising that control. And so that's what we're preaching here today. Action leads to motivation, not the other way around. To quote our friends at Nike, just do it. Do the thing. Just do the thing. That's the goal to getting to where you want to be. Do the thing over and over and over again and keep building on it. You'll be shocked at how far you can get in a short period of time. Hope you find that useful, guys. Don't forget, James puts it up on the screen over here every day. SaltyGingerTalk.com is our website. We've got all of our podcast episodes available there. We've got a weekday newsletter we publish every weekday that you can subscribe to. And then we've got links to all of our social media accounts on there as well. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you consume the content from. Really appreciate you checking us out. Thanks for coming and seeing our stuff. We look forward to seeing you next time. Everybody have a great week.